Church, it's good to see you. You know what I'm excited about? We went to Old Faithful on the lapel. I'm telling you. Now, you let her act up like a Rice Krispie treat if she wants to, but I'm telling you, we shouldn't have no snap, crackle, pop this morning. We'll see how it goes, all right? Okay, here we go. Let's look at our Bibles this morning, John chapter 6. We are going to start around verse 1. And as we do that, let me just say, man, last week, wow, it was amazing to be here in service, to be able to watch it live. It was just really good because, you know, we were able to talk about communion, be able to preach on that. As several have said, so worshipful. And then we had, you know, that reflection on that, the humility of that. Man, it's amazing. You know what? Somebody told me you don't have to worry about humbling yourself when you walk into a room if you're already humble, you know, if you come that way. And I also thought about this. It is amazing to have witnessed the washing of the saints' feet last week. That's amazing. I'm telling you, that don't always go over so well. And I know a lot of us say, you know what, preacher, we love you, but no. You know, it's one of those things. But it's just amazing to see it. Amen. If nothing else, it was amazing to witness. And then at the end of the service, you know, Jaden coming up, that's just something that I think will linger around for a long time. I tell you what had me worked up. I didn't think about this after the service, you know, and I was talking about it takes a lot of humility, you know, to take your shoe off, you know, in front of people. Amen. But anyway, somebody told me after, said, you know, it was amazing that they actually had that on, you know, like Facebook Live. And it hit me. You know, and I know we wanted to be able to capture more there with that, but as it was in the moment, I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I'm so glad they got to see Jaden do that, you know. So anyway, it was very humbling. But you know, hey, it's good to be here this morning. Good to be in God's house with God's people and God's presence. We got God's word this morning. It's been a good week. I hope you guys didn't party too hard over yesterday, over the celebration and everything, so that's good. Looks like you are ready for this party this morning, fired up, ready to receive the word of God, and you're hungry for that, so we're thankful for that this morning. And so we're going to be, it's good you are hungry because we're going to feed you bread this morning, bread from the Word of God. And you got to think, you know, how do we pick up from where we left off last week? Talking about communion, the body and the bread and the fruit of the vine, the cup, the blood, Jesus. It's amazing. Well, we're going to look at this morning a connection that's happening in John chapter 6. John chapter 6 is a long chapter. And it starts off with bread, and it ends up with bread. That's how sandwiches work, amen? You start off with a slice, you put something in the middle, and then you put another slice on it. God's making a sandwich in John chapter 6. Good stuff. We can appreciate that, right? Now, I have no idea why you guys always connect things in the Bible to food. I have no idea. But I'm just going with it with you, all right? I'm with you here, all right? So, all right, so this morning, do me a favor. Do you preacher a favor this morning? Smile even if it hurts. Amen? Remember what we say. Whether you were born with those teeth or not, they are yours. Amen? Hallelujah. It's good to be here this morning. All right, so y'all going to help me preach this morning? Amen, or I'm on my own? I'm on my own. All right. Here we go, Jesus. John chapter 6. Here we go. All right, look at verse 1. After these things, Jesus went over the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great multitude followed him. Stop. A great multitude. You know, when I look at the church this morning, let's look at it personally. We can't control what nobody else is doing this morning. We cannot. Truth is, giving it thought's not going to help us. But giving thought this morning to the Word of God, talking about what Jesus has in store for us, this is what's most important in our lives right here, right now. This right here may very well take care of every other problem or every other need that you got hanging out there in the balance. Things coming up this week. Tomorrow's a busy day. Got things happening yesterday. But this morning, right here, right now, if we were to give our undivided attention to the Word of God, there ain't no telling how far it could carry us this morning. It says there was a multitude that followed him. This morning, first we have to nail it down. Am I here this morning to follow Jesus Christ, or am I here to follow my own ambition and my own selfish desires? Or am I here this morning because I am a follower of Christ and I want to see where he wants me to be when this service is over? You know? So this morning, that's what we're going to do. We'll follow him this morning. Man, it's good to know that we're following him. And hey, we want to be close to him, right? Sometimes we're going down that interstate. You can't rely on GPS all the time, right? You know, you say, well, I'll just follow. You can always tell when somebody don't know where they're going if you're in a convoy. Man, it looks like you got a chain hooked to the bumpers. You know, they're right there. You can't shake them for anything in the world. They're right behind you because they don't want to get lost. Because they're the ones that have punched into their GPS or into their phones an address and it said, good luck. And so you can't get there from here. But anyway, this morning, Jesus, we want to follow you so close. That we're right there bumper to bumper. Look at this here, verse 2. It says, why did they follow him? Second part of verse 2, it says, because they saw his miracles, which he did on them that were diseased. All right, here we go. Ready? Second thing. We were diseased. We are diseased. We have a sinful nature. So guess what helps us follow Jesus this morning? If we can see that he healed us from our disease. I really am by myself. All right. It's good to know there's four of us, Jesus, me, myself, and I. There's three. And then we got the Spirit, the Father, and Jesus. Amen. That's good. All right, here we go. Ready? I'll tell you what. There we go. Always seems to help, you know. All right. Here we go. All right, so we get there, and Jesus says they're following me because they saw my miracle. So what it tells us this morning is that we're here this morning. We'll follow Jesus if we can see what he's done for us. If we can see where he's brought us from and where we're at and where we're headed to, that helps us this morning. So God help us focus on that. We're following you. Look at the next verse here. It says, verse 3. It says, and when Jesus went up into a mountain, there sat his disciples. And the Passover, remember last week we were talking about the Passover feast because that was the communion. It says in verse 5, and when Jesus lifted up his eyes and saw a great company come unto him, he saith unto Philip, whence shall we buy bread that these may eat? Now I want you to see the compassion for a minute in Jesus. When Jesus looks at other people, he sees their needs. I'm so thankful this morning for those who have saw the needs of other people and have met the needs of other people. That you care so much that you want to spend your time, your energy to be able to help others. It's very important today that we take a look outside of ourselves for this morning. So what God is trying to do early in the going here is to be able to say, you know what, I've come here today because Jesus has done great things in my life, and I'm here to pay homage today. I'm here to thank him. In spite of myself, I am so thankful for what he's done. And so today I want that bread from heaven. I want that bread from him. And so he sees that, and we're following him. And so I think a lot of time we have to say, I'm not leading myself to church, but I'm following Jesus there. And then I follow him when I leave here. I don't just go out and just lead my life, but I follow Jesus in my life. Very important. And you say, how do you do that? Watch this. It says, verse 5, it says, and when Jesus lifted up his eyes, he saw a great company. What's amazing is, when Jesus looks out, he sees your needs. So I'm going to ask you this morning, we get up close and personal. What is your need this morning? What is it you need more this morning than anything else? And I'm not talking about your breath. I'm not talking about those necessities. What I'm saying is this morning is there anybody here? Is there anybody who's listening? Anybody have a need that need to be met? Now, in that need being met, Jesus is about to show us how that happens. Now, we already have to know up front that he has compassion. And the best definition of compassion is one that AC gave us years ago, is when you feel the hurt of someone else in your heart. That is so powerful. I was talking about it when we were teaching class this morning, that, I've had times where I saw the children run and they fell. It's almost like before they hit, you knew what was about to happen. And when they fell, you could feel that hurt in your heart. You really could. It was just like, wow, how can that happening over there impact me in here? But in the same time, if you be honest, there's been some times some people you didn't like so well, and when they fell, there was happiness in here. Amen? All right, we just got to call it like it is. You've seen some people out there arrogant and cocky, and when they fail, you're like, yay, yay. Yeah, there was a lot of joy going on there. Yes, yay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's compassion. Thank you, Chris. All right, we're good for 2 more hours. Now, the good thing is, somebody said, get that cup away from him. All right, so what's happening now is Jesus sees that compassion. So here let's share a heart. Ready? When I look out at this crowd and I see you, I hope that you got what you need. And I hope you never get what you deserve. I hope you never get what you deserve. Man, and I'm going to do that there. So I hope you never get it. And truth is, I know you'll never get it with Jesus. You're never going to get it. And the other thing is, when you see these people, I pray some way, somehow. I know God has the power to reach down deep inside of you. I know he does. Ain't a doubt in my mind. Because if he can reach me, he can reach you. And there's some. But I pray. I wish. I pray. I hope that some way God could just move into where you are right now and just steal your heart. That some way, somehow, that you could just feel the breath of heaven breathing on you. That he'd be so close to you and be so concerned about that you would allow yourself this morning. But there's so many times in the scriptures that they said these people had to follow Jesus. See, this morning, don't wait on Jesus to come to you. He already has. He is. But this morning, if you would follow him. Following him many times means that as God sits there and he speaks to you in this audience, that you respond to that. That you don't say tomorrow, maybe tomorrow. You don't say wait, but you say yes, Lord. Sometimes it's all right for you to wave the flag, to surrender, to say, Lord, have mercy. And that's what we need. Church, it's one of those things to where sometimes following the Lord is not just sitting around and saying, how do I do that? What it means is it's following his ways. That this morning that we know that Jesus is excited this morning about people. Then we sit here this morning and we say, Lord, make me excited about people. Lord, if it's forgiveness I need, Father, I need you to give me that today on high. I need that from on high. If there be something between me and you, forgive me. If there be something that I forgive you. That we have a heart this morning that God would do that. If God needs to help us be able to get over something. Man, there's some things in people's lives that have been hanging on for years and years and years now. And there comes a time that you just got to have a funeral and you got to be able to mourn that death and you got to be able to move on and know that God has a different kind of bread for you today. It's amazing to me how a lot of the time bread, I see bread here occasionally. You ever notice how bread will get green? Have you ever, or y'all's bread don't sit that long? Y'all be making some jam, y'all be jamming it together, right? Y'all making a lot of sandwich. That bread don't sit long, right? But how many of you here don't like the end slice? Tell the truth. You'll skip. Hold them up high like you proud. Look at there. That's a lot. I'm one of them. Yeah, I wasn't just doing that as an example. I'll skip that end slice. How many slice? I don't even know why they call it light bread because it makes you heavy after you eat it. But the thing is, because we love bread, bread love us, right? And, the other thing is, too, I'll skip that in slice. And I think there's like 26 or 28 slices of bread in a normal loaf, I think. I think somebody told me that one time. I counted them. Anyway, because if you make a lot of sandwiches, I think you can make 14 sandwiches if you use the end slice. But why? Will somebody holler out and tell me why you don't like the end slice? It's hard. It's stale. I like the middle. The middle. All right, that's good. All right. I think that's enough said for everybody. You did good, Miss Mary Ann. I appreciate that. Well, what happens is the Lord is saying this morning that we might need to change our bread. Here a while back, they got so many different kinds of bread in the grocery store, don't they? Has anybody become familiar with the Hawaiian rolls? Now, let me show y'all something. I said Jesus earlier, and I didn't get that. Maybe if I tell you Jesus is from Hawaii, or he's Lord of Hawaii, that maybe I can get. Did you just hear that crowd? Wow. Hawaiian rolls. That's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Amen. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you can put anything in there. They're different kind of. I think they say wheat bread. Isn't it amazing how we go to the restaurant and we say, give us sausage and bacon and bologna and put it on rye or put it on wheat. Me and Chris was eating here a while back. We went to the Venus together, and they got a Mac Attack there. I highly recommend it. And we were eating the breakfast there. And, boy, that thing's, it's grits and eggs and sausage and bacon. And, it's loaded out. And they said, what kind of toast you want? I said, wheat. Why in the world are you going to eat wheat bread at this point? That's like eating a Snicker bar with a Diet Coke thinking everything going to be all right. You know what I mean? It just don't work that way. Now, I think it's good if that's what you like. I think that's excellent. But to think that it offsets it, it just does not, right? But with that in mind, I think here's what we have to come to this morning. Our life is really sandwiched between the beginning of our life and the end of our life. We have a birth date, and God knows our death date. All right? And then our life is lived in between these two slices. And I guess the thing is today is, what kind of bread are you eating? What kind of bread do you like? Now, truth is, I guess the end slice would kind of be his favorite, Tom. I'm glad God put you two together. So the whole loaf can be done. That's wonderful. But now it tells me that the good news is, let me ask you this question. Would you eat the end slice if it was Hawaiian bread? Maybe. Amen. These people were behind you talking about. Yeah, that's good. We look at the bread. Look at what he does here. Look at verse 6. The Lord had said this to Philip to prove him, for he himself knew what he would do. Jesus already knew what he was going to do, but he wanted to test his people. So Philip had a negative faith, a pessimistic faith. He said, it won't. Look at verse 7 rather. Philip answered and said, 200 pennyworth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may take a little. Verse 8, one of his disciples, Andrew, Simon, Peter's brother, said unto him, there is a lad here that have 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish, but what are they among so many? Notice this. Let's don't focus today on the possessions of man, but rather let's focus on the power of God. See, too many times we're looking at the possessions of what man has. Today we need to be looking. Take a minute. Sometimes you just got to just stop what you're doing for a minute. And you got to be able to take a look at not the possessions of man, not what we have in our hands, but what do we have and hold in our hearts? See, if you look, I'll promise you this morning, we may be trying to warm up in here a little bit this morning, but if you get to focusing on what you got, you may leave this place depressed. I mean, some of us, not everybody in here yet is like some of us that got everything paid off just yet. But even then, it's always behooved me that if you don't pay your property tax, and after 12 months and a day, you can lose everything you paid for. I don't care if you paid $1 million for your estate. If you don't pay your property tax for a year, you lose everything you got. Always blowed my mind. It would have been great once you got it paid for. Maybe you didn't have to pay taxes on it, but nonetheless, that's a whole nother sermon. But my point is, what you have can be taken away from you. But can I tell you this morning that you have something in Jesus nobody can take away from you. And so in that bread there, we hold on to that. And so what he's saying is, Peter says, he says, there is a boy here who has this lunch. And thank God for, the mamas who bag the lunches, right? And even the dads as well. But what happens is they took little and did a lot. Now here's what I want to show you this morning. Church, sometimes we can be looking at what we don't have instead of what God has already given us. So if I could encourage you this morning to just take time this morning to be able to focus on what it is God has given you in your life, what you do have this morning. See, this morning, many times our minds are sitting here being focused on what we do not have. And so we long for that. That's what we want. But what God is saying is, focus this morning on what you do have. We need to give attention to that. We need to pay homage on that. We need to praise the Lord for that. Be thankful for the bread that you do have. And so he goes on through there and he takes it, blesses it, breaks it, goes on through that. But he was showing us how to meet the physical needs. All right, now let's go to the last part real quick. He took bread in the beginning of John chapter 6, and he uses that bread to meet the physical needs of everyone. So it's important this morning to know that the Lord meets our physical needs through bread. All right, last part here. Look at John chapter 6, look at verse 35. Now, Jesus walks on the sea in between, and that's sandwiched in between there, but we're going to jump on over for the sake of time to verse 35. He says here, and Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life, and he that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that ye also have seen me, and believe not. All that the Father giveth me shall come to me, and him that cometh to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me. Now, look at this spiritual bread for a moment. Jesus is saying that I am the bread. All right, so when we look back at the Old Testament for a minute and we see where God's provision every day, God made it necessary that we needed bread from heaven every day, and he gave that to his people in the wilderness. So every day from heaven, that bread rained down. And what he was saying is that every day we need Jesus in our life. Now, here is a fear that I have. We are a church that we base our affiliation with God through Christ because we are numbered and listed among the Christians. We are a Christian. Now, in that respect, we know that we cannot live the Christian life without Christ. We cannot have a sandwich without bread. We know that bread is something that we, for the most part, we all love, something we long for. We have a physicalness. But watch this here for a minute. If we are going to be able to do what God wants Lebanon Church to do, then we have got to know where our source comes from. We have got to know our bread. We have got to know that Jesus Christ looks out over the people. That Jesus looks out. Let's don't just say people for a minute. Let's number ourselves among the 5,000. What he's saying is that 5,000, this 5,000, Jesus looks out over his people. Now, do you believe this morning that Jesus has his hand on this church? Do you believe that Jesus shows up here? All right, so the bread of life comes here from heaven. And what he's saying is he looks out and he sees your need and he says, I can meet your need. I can take care of that. He said, and after I meet your need, there's still going to be some fragments left over. He said, but don't leave that because that's important. So what he's saying to us is this. Jesus is here. He's doing a work. And he wants to bless your life, but he's saying to you, he says, you have got to follow Jesus. Now, church, listen to me just a minute because I love you. If we are not fellowshipping with Jesus during the week, and this is our fellowship, then I'm going to tell you, we're going to be very weak as a church. And my fear is sometimes that we don't spend much time with Jesus daily. Here's what I'm saying. He said that the bread would rain down from heaven every day. Now, watch me for a minute now. Listen to me, businessmen, businesswomen, going to school, college, whatever your pursuit, your dreams are. All those things are amazing. Retired, it's amazing. Your accomplishment, they are amazing. But here is this. If you leave here today and you are a Christian and you don't have no Christ mixed in your life tomorrow because your schedule's too busy, don't expect a good outcome. Just know that the sandwich you are making, the recipe, it is not going to turn out good. And so what Jesus was doing in John chapter 6 is he's saying, I see you. He said, I'm going to meet your need. All right, and it wasn't by chance that he uses this bread. He took it, he blessed it, he broke it. So what has to happen is God says, give me your little this morning. And everybody's measure is different, and that's all right. But here's what God's saying is he said, but you're never going to be able to surrender to me until I fully have everything that's in your hands. He says, you can't hold anything back. You can't put one back behind your back. But what he was saying was, he said this morning, he said, who is here to surrender to me? And he says, and when I seen them, and you know the reason he had compassion on them? Watch this for a minute. He had compassion on that 5,000 because that 5,000 was following him. Don't expect to get the compassion or the results. Don't expect to eat the kind of bread that Jesus has unless you're following him. See, you can't be out there following you or following them. If you're not following him, you're not going to eat the bread from heaven. You're going to eat the bread from this earth. And that gets molded, and it ain't Hawaiian bread. And I don't know about you, but unless you don't have good, you can have a good cheeseburger. And if that bread is stale, you might well chuck that baby out the window. Amen? Or just pull the patty off. Y'all see what I'm saying this morning? And I'm here to tell you this morning. You say, preacher, I'm telling you, these things are applicable. It makes a difference. And I'm here to tell you this morning. Now watch this right. And the reason I say, you're not following Jesus. If you're not getting any word from the Lord, like tomorrow, if I was to ask you tomorrow, I'd love to be able to walk up to you and say, watch, tell me what your day looks like tomorrow. And you say, well, preacher, I don't know. No, I said, no, tell me if thing is halfway normal in your life. You say, well, preacher, my life ain't normal. Okay, tell me about your abnormal life day tomorrow. I want to hear what you do. When you get up in the morning time, I mean, is there any Jesus? You say, preacher, no, most of the time I get up and I got to get them kids right. Okay. Preacher, you don't understand. When I go to work, Okay? You don't understand when I get home, I got games and I got homework and I got supper. And okay? So you were a Christian. You'll be a Christian tomorrow without exercising your faith. Okay, tell me about your Tuesday. Well, Preacher, it's kind of like Monday. I got up and I just jumped up, and when I did, we snoozed because we were late at the ball field Monday night, and we jumped up Tuesday morning, and we went, and I finally got them in there and got them to school, and got them a little breakfast outside the door, put the cereal in a cup, gave them a spoon, and got that done, and I got to work and was busy there and felt like a zombie all day, and got off, and right time I got off, I had to go to this school, pick this one up, go to this school to pick this one up. I had to get them ready, go dress. I had to go this here. We had dance, and we go here, and I finally got back home. It was late, and did all I could do to get them into bed, and we caught a little burger or something, a hot dog at the ballpark. We did this, and I got home. Where's Jesus? Well, hey, I hadn't seen y'all on Wednesday night, because a lot of us that used to come on Wednesday night don't come on Wednesday night no more. That's a fact. But what happens is, too busy, got a lot going on. And I ain't never seen the recreational world planning stuff on Wednesday nights like they do anymore, but they'll keep doing it as long as we allow them to do it. There was a time we made a stand and we stopped it, but they don't stop it no more. I remember going up there and talking to myself and said, look here, Wednesday night's for church. I said, I can't stop it. I said, but I can make your life difficult. I said, I know the Father, because obviously you don't. And I said, I know half the people that sponsor your ball field, and I said, they friends of mine. I said, you had to find somebody else to sponsor these ball fields and put these batting cages up. I said, I'm just as much a fan as you are. I said, in fact, I helped build most of all these batting cages around here anyway, and we donated the pipe, the paint, the nets, the pitching machines, and everything else. I said, but there's a time and a place for everything. I said, you don't take away God's time to come out here and do recreation time. I said, I'm just as much about sports as anything else. I said, but there's a time and a place for everything. I said, what y'all want next? You want it Sunday morning next? You give them an inch, they'll go a mile. What they say, the devil, you give him an inch, he'll become your ruler. I mean, now, come on, now, there's a time and a place, but until parents stand up and say something, they ain't going to do nothing. Christians don't do nothing but bow down and bow out and go over there and do what they want. No. Somebody got to stand up and say something. We stopped it before, you can stop it again. But nonetheless, Wednesday night is just another night. And then Thursday, same thing. Friday, and I'm telling you, church, before you mess around, you'll go from a Sunday all the way to a Sunday. Now, I thank God for the Sunday in your life. Because if it wasn't for the Sunday in your life, there might not be no Jesus in your life. Church, I'm here to tell you, there is no way in this world a man or a woman will put his nose or her nose in this and bow her knee and bow his knee and sit in the throne room with Jesus. I'm telling you, it'll change you. I've always said death is the same way. When somebody dies in your life or my life, you ain't never the same. Either you'll be better or you'll be worse. And the same way with Jesus is. When you spend time with Jesus, you'll never be the same. Either you'll get closer to him or it'll drive you further away. You remember the rich young ruler when he come up to Jesus? That rich young ruler was never the same. When he came up to Jesus, he was pleasant and wanted to know to follow him. Jesus said, well, you can get rid of all of that and you can follow me. When he walked off, he was crying. You ain't never the same when you leave Jesus. Either you better or worse. And what I'm telling you this morning is, church, there is bread for your living. And it falls from heaven every day. In fact, it lives within. It is good to know we have got a built-in bakery. Amen, somebody? I mean, if that don't make you shout, there ain't a shout in you. Hallelujah. And church, that is there. Listen, I understand that you're busy. I understand that. I understand busyness. But one excuse is just as good as the next. Thank you. But if you're not careful, you'll excuse yourself right out of the kingdom. You'll excuse yourself right out of the kingdom. You'll excuse yourself right out of church. You'll excuse yourself right out of. It'll happen. And you know what I don't want? You better than that. You better than that. In fact, he deserves better than that. I got to tell you what we were talking about in our class this morning just real quick, and I'll close. It never really hit me. I knew that the Trinity was separated because of us. That'll choke me up every time I think about a father turning his back on his son. That is when his son hadn't done anything wrong. It's never good to turn your back, but to turn your back on your son that's doing everything right, that'll just tear you up. But have you ever thought about this for a minute? We have, now follow my words for a minute, okay? Don't throw a tomato or do something until you just hear me for a second. Just please give me your undivided attention. Just for a second, and don't judge me till you hear everything I got to say. We made heaven imperfect. We scarred heaven. See, Jesus is perfect. But even after his resurrection, he had nail-scarred hands, nail-scarred feet, and a pierced side. Now, can I submit to you, prior to what we did with Jesus, there was never a scar or a blemish in heaven. But we scarred heaven. Heaven has imperfection. Now, in the eyes of God, you have to understand that a scar is a wound that is healed. You can't have a scar until a wound has been properly healed. So make no mistake, heaven is healing, and it's healed, no question. And when the Father sees his Son, he sees the scars. But it was necessary. You say, preacher, wouldn't it have been so good for him not to have to carry those scars from that cross? Yeah, but you know, here's the problem with that. There still would have been people just like us doubting him, just like Thomas. He said, I carry my scars, not for me, but for you. So you would believe. So that it would change your life. That it would speak to your heart. That it would help you humble yourself and bow to the King. There are scars on the Trinity. There are scars in heaven that never were before until he came. And when the Father sees the Son, he sees the glorified, scarred body of Christ, Jesus. Why? Why is this bread of life scarred? Because he said, my life for your life. And you tell me that bread falls every day and I walk by it? At the name of busy? Father, forgive me. At the name of pride? Father, forgive me. But to know that one more day has been given and bread has fallen at our feet yet again. This scarred body. And when Jesus sees you, he feels your hurt in his heart. And he says, bring me your little. Bring me your little. He says, let me bless it and break it. He said, let me lift it to the Father. He said, and my supply will be your multiply. But you've got to turn it loose. Once and for all, you've got to let it go. He says, I am the living bread which came down from heaven. Get this. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of this world. That is the best thing I have ever heard. And if you needed a commercial this morning to prompt you to spike your interest, that's it. But that bread is all around us this morning. Don't leave here. Remember, he only gives it to the ones who follow him. You can't stay where you are and be following. But Lord, this morning, may we come and receive your life for my life. Church, let's bow before him. Let's surrender. Taste how sweet it is.